right.
Update, kind of roster update, just after the scrimmage, and kind of where you guys are at heading into next week.
We're still waiting for Marcus Washington back. But other than that, we're a pretty healthy team. Yeah, everyone else is healthy. Teddy should be this week. He's trending in a really favorable direction.
What do you see out there today?
I thought it was a lot of fun. First of all, it was really hot, which was great. We were able to get a bunch of plays with the young guys at the end. During the Boneyard Bash, had the band out there, had a bunch of students there. Thought we played really strong on defense again. I think guys are really settling into the defense. So the offense put together some nice drives. Had some some of the issues we had last week in terms of procedure and clock. Those all went away. So I thought it was a step in the right direction. Definitely a step in the right direction. So we have to watch the tape and see exactly who performed well. We had one or two players that put the ball on the ground a couple times on offense. I'm not going to indict everyone for that, but we had a guy, really two guys that has to protect the ball better. But I think our defense is definitely being physical and hitting. So still some work to do in the kicking game. Still some work to do on offense and on defense. But I like where we're at right now.
Is there any particular aspect of the defense that is impressing right now?
I just think they run and hit. They run and tackle really well. I think we're playing the run game well and creating some negative plays. As I said, they knocked the ball out a couple times. They're really physical. So, I'd say that's their strength. Just kind of that flocking of the ball and striking people. They're doing that at a high level.
Does it sound, or are they giving up any big plays?
We're giving up some in practices. I can't remember what it was today. Maybe one, but they're not giving up. We're certainly sound. I wouldn't allow it to not be sound. Now, does a guy get blocked sometimes in a play hit? Yeah, absolutely. But for the most part, I think we're playing good team defense.
How does just like the whole complexion of the preseason, this month, change now that you're into the week before game week? The next week's a short week. The school starts Monday. How does all of that impact just what you're doing with the team?
Yeah, I think one of the keys has always been to me, Mitch, not starting opponent prep too early. Sometimes, they think so much about the game. By the time they get to the game, it sounds dumb, but it's almost like boring. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be some excitement about it in terms of the timings. You have to time it perfectly. So, we'll give them tomorrow off. Now, my version of off, which we'll have a meeting in the morning to talk about academics for school and all that. So it's academics because we have school on Monday. Monday's an off day for them as well. So we'll give them 2 days back to back. So the first day of school and that Sunday, so they have a chance to kind of recover now. We've gone really hard. For some of them, it's the hardest thing they've probably ever done, and it's good. And so I'm pleased with them. So we'll take 2 days, and then we'll kind of go 3 in a row. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll have a mock game Thursday night under the lights. I'll come in Friday, do some stuff, give them Saturday off. Then we'll practice on Sunday like a normal game week, give them Monday off, and start again on Tuesday. So in terms of opponent, scout, and prep, really talking completely about the opponent. We'll introduce some things on Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, and then really that Friday will be truly a hey, hang everything up. Hey, we're in game week.
Matt, Marcus Satterfield asked Jeff Sims to cut down his turnovers and raise his completion percentage in the spring, as he did. Did that carry over into August that you've seen?
Yeah, he just taking great care of the ball. I think when the Big Ten Network came, they talked about him. Being the highest in college football in terms of returning turnovers. I wouldn't have ever suspected that because just being around him. So I went back and watched them. There was a lot of times you would say they were probably not his fault. He was getting hit, or someone got hit and dropped the ball. I think Jeff's taking great care of the ball. It's a fine line, right? We talk about the toxic battle here. It's an old Brian Billick stat. We want to win the turnover battle, but also win the explosive play battle. So we can go out there and go into a shell and, not turn the ball over ever, but go 3 and out. It's the same thing, right? So we want to be explosive, and I think Jeff is learning that line of when to be explosive, when not, when to take a chance and when not to. So we don't want to play scared. That's the biggest thing for this group is they can't play scared. So, but I think he's done a really nice job, Steve. I think he's playing really good football, and there's still a lot to learn. I know we're playing on 8/31, but there's a lot of games after that, and so we're just trying to get better and better and better and better and better every day. So I think we'll see him play really good football this year.
When do you think you'll have captains? Maybe you do.
Yeah, we won't do captains. We'll do I think the season, especially the first year, gives you so many opportunities to lead, and so we'll do game captains, right? And then when we get to bowl season, we'll vote for permanent captains. But guys emerge as the year goes on, right? And so we kind of have our single digits, which is one thing. We'll have a unity council. Guys will vote for guys onto that. So what you're looking for is different opportunities for different guys to serve in different ways. And I'll never forget my senior year at Penn State. I wasn't a great player, but I was a captain, at home against Minnesota. We were, I think, number 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember. We were in the nation. So that was an experience for me, right? So I've just kind of carried that over to all of our players. So I look for all of our seniors and some of our juniors to have a chance to be game captains this year.
Do you plan to put out a public depth chart? And then what about black shirts?
I've never been asked about depth charts more in my life. Yeah, we'll put out a depth chart. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it'll be a real one too. So, but I do want to say that because a couple people have asked me that, and the players have asked me that. But we really, 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 in my mind, there's sort of a line, that we're going to play the guys that we think are above the line, and we're trying to get other guys above the line. So, there might be a guy who's a starter. I couldn't tell you, who's the starter, Cam Lenhart or Blaze Gunnarsson. The answer is yes. They're both starters. You know what I mean? So, and I think Tony's doing a nice job of playing with some different packages. So, we have a lot of guys who can play for us. But yeah, we'll do that. When do we do that? Like game week, right? So we'll do it, going into game week, because I'm still in the mode of these next 3 days. I also want to see, Sean, who can handle the grind that I want when school starts. You know what I mean? Who can handle tonight? There's no curfew tonight for the first time. Who's going to be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and who's going to show up and I slept in? Hopefully no one. But there's just another phase, and again, it's our first time together. So, but yeah, we'll do a depth chart. I think you had a second part of that question.
Black shirts.
Oh yeah, they'll start when we start game prep.
If Cam Lenhart's that close, what's that say about him?
Oh, Cam's been fantastic since he got here. An old soul, mature beyond his years, an excellent player. Yeah, excellent player. Will play a ton of football for us. So.
There could be at times kind of a split thought about whether a place like IMG is helpful or not, but it appears to have helped him. I mean, what have you seen maybe that he may have learned in that setting that helped him prepare for this?
Well, I think Cam comes from a great family, first of all. So I know he was certainly raised to a certain, with standards. Man, I think going away, there's a level of independence. I see that with my own son right now. He's a senior, and he's sent me a picture yesterday of him doing laundry. Mom ain't doing it. I told him, don't ask your grandmother to do it, man. So he's doing it. So there's a level of independence that comes along with that. And then I think the people at IMG do a tremendous job with their sports psychology and all those different things. I mean, he gets here, he's talking about neutrality and all these high-end things that, so he's been trained. But I certainly don't want to take anything away from his family, because I think he comes from a great family.
How big a deal is Dr. Haskell been to your operation? Heard her come up a lot, just from coaches and players.
Dr. Haskell's as important to me as Chris Peduzzi, the head athletic trainer, Corey Campbell. She's as important to me as the offensive and defensive coordinators. It's so simple. We sometimes have a way of looking at mental health and sports performance, and kind of over here. But I'll say to guys sometimes, guys, if you have a tight hamstring, do you go see the trainer? They're like, yeah. I'm like, do you break your leg? Do you see the doctor? Yeah. Well, if you're feeling a little bit, depressed or anxious or nervous, why would you not go see Dr. Haskell? I do. So, and then if you're feeling great, then she helps keep you in that zone and teach you how to get the flow and teach you how. So, I think we as coaches have studied a lot about cognitive load and this generation and the impact of phones on their their brains and their ability to concentrate and attention and focus control. And really, to answer your question, all I really want is guys to be able to go from their thinking brain, getting the call, knowing the situation, and then shutting that brain off, focusing in and just reacting. And so she's teaching them how to do that. So she both handles the whole spectrum of mental health, but also kind of sports performance, which obviously is involved in that. And she's doing it at a high level, and she's doing it so we have common language, if that makes sense. So now, in the offensive line room, Donnie can be talking about breathing, or, we have things that we do football-wise, like cycle of the snap. Hey, here's what we want you to do from the end of one snap to the beginning of the next. We write them all the way out for the guys. So we're just integrating her into it. So she's using our language, and we're using her language. So I think we're, hopefully on the cutting edge of what we're doing.
You got a pretty good pretty good idea who the number 2 quarterback is?
I think it's both of them right now. I think you would see. I think they both are ready to lead. I think they both are. We can win with both of them. Yeah, I mean, I say that because they bring different attributes to the table. I think Heinrich would be a little bit more of the dual threat stuff. Chubb a little bit more. It's probably like Heinrich would probably be like a little bit more on the edge of run it first and then throw it. Though he's really coming along in the drop back pass game, and Chubb would be a little bit more in the throw it first into the run it game. So, I think both of those guys would have a role if something were to happen to Jeff.
Situational decisions.
Yeah, we wouldn't be the old. Wouldn't do Steve Spurrier run the quarterbacks on play after play. It'd kind of be like, hey, we're in a situation we're running the ball here. Maybe it's a little more Heinrich. Hey, we're going to drop back and throw it. We're down 2 scores. Maybe it's Chuba. And again, they're continuing to try to elevate past each other, and they're such good friends too. So it makes it a healthy competition. So I don't think we could sit here and tell you right now, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think if something were to happen to Jeff, which I would never want to happen, obviously for Jeff's sake, we would feel really good about Chuba, and we would feel really good about Heinrich going out there and leading the team.
Along those lines, at the running back position, do you feel similarly about the way that those guys complement maybe the top 3, the way that they complement each other with their skill sets and how they can bring different things?
Yeah, I think for us, I think we feel like Gabe is clearly the number 1 guy. Ramir, clearly the 3rd down back and still a runner, right? But Ramir's ability to track protections and catch the ball in the backfield is pretty special. I think, every scout that comes in here, I tell them all, like, hey, I had Jermichael Hasty at Baylor still playing. I said, he's just like him. He can run option routes, choice routes. So I think Ramir's got a future. Ramir has a little tweak to his hammy, so you asked about the injury report. Should be back this week. Just kind of got tight on him the other day, so we held him, but should be fine. So, I think kind of situationally those 2 guys. And then Anthony is, when the ball's in his hands, Anthony's elite running the football. Anthony just, he's put the ball on the ground too much. He's fumbled the ball too much. And no matter how talented you are, if you fumble the football, you can't play for us. So we're going to continue to work on it with AG. He's had a good camp up until the last couple of days in terms sort of turning the ball over, but it's been an issue. And I normally wouldn't say that out loud, but I'll say it because Anthony, he knows exactly, hey, I've got to conquer this. But when he's right, he sees it as well as anybody. And then we have a 1-2-3 punch. And then I'd say Emmett Johnson is, he's in the running to be our starting kick returner. And Emmett's, he's a versatile all-around back. And I think he can help us as well.
Where's Gabe come the furthest? What do you like about him most?
I didn't see him before, so I can't say. I just from the day I got here, I was like, wow, that's what they're supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like, he's big, he's powerful. He can run. He can run behind his pads. He can run inside zone, outside zone, power counter, anything you want to run duo. He's good in protection. He's consistently still trying to work on his hands. His hands are the number one thing that keeps him from being on the field all 3 downs. But he can catch. He just has to, that's what he's working on. But, it's very rare that you have a guy that's, 225 pounds and also runs 4.4, you know what I mean, and has lateral movement. So, I know he started as a freshman. I know he had that injury. But I can't imagine many better than that kid. So I've been impressed with him since the day we got here.
You include Marcus, you mentioned trending positively with the health status. You include Washington in the group that can be ready for Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no setbacks. I just think it's, he's healing kind of slow, and I think we're kind of, he's played so much football, we're kind of hesitant to push him. But no setbacks. He does all of our run throughs, all of our walkthrough run through stuff. He did a little bit of Indy the other day, I believe. But I would expect him to play that first game.
Hey, Coach, with the classes starting Monday, will there be any walk-ons that could get a scholarship with some of the openings you've had?
Yeah, we have 2 scholarships left over, so we'll put 2 guys on. One is Phelan Sanford, and the other one's yet to be told to the kid yet, so I like to tell him first. But Phelan, who's been on before, and is an excellent player and a great teammate, and he gets it not off, he gets it off of merit. The role he's playing in the rotation at safety, and then playing on all the special teams.
Anything else, guys?
Coach, a lot's been made about the rotation of the defense, having as many guys as possible. Are you at a number right now with how many guys you think you can put on the field?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. A lot of it's seeing them in games to know, like, hey, was I right or wrong? But if you count the true D linemen, we have 3 of them. I think we're at like 6, maybe 7 that we feel like would put in a game. Might be getting close to 8 there. We have 3 jacks that we trust. We've got 6 inside backers that we trust. And when I say trust, like they've shown that they can play over the line. There's a lot of other guys that are on the way, right? And then in the back end, we have a bunch of guys. So I think on defense, we have a lot of players that can play. I think we just have to play some games and get guys in there and see, make sure the moment's not too big. I'd hate for it to be. I mean, that's the whole point of our program is practice really hard, good on good all the time so that you get to the games and you're not overwhelmed. So we're going to put them out there and see what happens.
What's the status of the kicking battle, I guess you call it, between Chris and Tim?
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say anything right now because today was not our best day kicking. We struggled a little bit today in the kicking game. So today Tristan went with the ones today. Timmy had been going with the ones. Tristan went with the ones today. So I think probably as we get into like Wednesday, Thursday, we'll kind of have like, hey, this is how we're heading into game week on Friday. And that Thursday night mock game is important to me. I like to get out on the field under the lights. Obviously we're playing night game. Guys have been tired. They've been going to class. They've been doing homework and just kind of see who performs. So probably by Thursday we'll make an official decision when we come up with that depth chart in terms of, hey, who's gonna be the starter. But it was Tristan as of today.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.